Welcome, everybody, to Greater Life, Greater Impact. I'm super excited to be here with my really good friend, Daniel Adams. Thank you for being here. We have a lot to talk about. There's been a lot going on the last couple of weeks, and a lot on people's minds. I've personally noticed the stuff that's in my Facebook news feed as I'm scrolling through. Some things just don't even seem relevant to me anymore. Like, have you noticed that? I'm like,
100%.
why are you even talking about that? That doesn't even matter. So
right.
Today,
getting down the essentials this week.
That's right. Today we are going to talk about some things, really important things that actually do matter, like probably the most important things that matter. I want you to give a little introduction as to who you are and what do you do and how do you serve people in the world, like recently. And then let's talk a little bit about your new program that's coming out, because I really want, I want to promote that, and I want people to have access to that, at least people that follow me. So
awesome. Thank you, Janet, both for what you shine. So many yummy things. Stoked to be with you today. And hey, friends on the internet.
Yeah.
Good to see you. My name is Daniel, and I love to coach. And I love to help people energize their relationships so that supports their vision and the thing that they actually want to create. I see so many business owners and entrepreneurs whose relationships are a distraction and a drain from what they're trying to build. One of my clients is so passionate about creating $42,000 of recurring revenue every month with his business. And he's so close and he's on his way. And then there are just these massive energy leaks and drains in his relationships that are really distracting from that. And there are just some simple alignment pieces that help people work together with all the people they love to create the thing that they really want to create and hit their goals. And that's what I love to do. What I'm going to share today are 3 pillars to energize your relationship. They're simple in theory, and sometimes they get a little complex in practice. And it's like, well, I already know that. Right. And I find that when my clients like actually do them, like we just keep coming back every week. They're like, but this and this and this and this. And it's like, right. So let's come back to these 3 pillars. And they're like, oh yeah, I guess I can apply that differently so that this works. Did I answer all your questions so far?
Yeah, you did. I was going to write down the 3 pillars and my pen is out of gas. So, man, we've had struggles with getting this information out. How do you make it happen? So yeah, I'm not going to be writing those things down. I really wanted to take some notes so that people could refer to that. But you know what? You can come back and watch the replay. But,
Totally.
you know, I watch you. I love your posts on Facebook. I just love the value that you add to the world. So when I'm scrolling and I see Daniel pop up, I'm like, I'm reading that because it's usually so good. And I've noticed too that you, one of the things that you do, that you teach, is that there are so many different components in a person's life that can be worked with and that can be healed, namely abundance. You talk about abundance a lot. You talk about relationships. You talk about money and wealth and achieving greatness and having the things that you desire, being and doing the things you desire. Like, there are so many different components to bringing your life into balance and harmony and happiness. And I love that this is just one of those key components that you address when you're coaching and mentoring with people that I've seen. And I think it's one of the most important components to happiness, is having balance in your relationships. So would you be willing to talk about those 3 pillars? Let's go into that and let's kind of take a little bit of a deep dive into why are these 3 pillars so important in our relationships?
Yeah. Let's start with a breath. I love this.
Okay, let's breathe. Breathing's good. Breathing's healthy.
And if you're watching, just take a second to notice as you breathe how much space is in between all your cells, all your thoughts, all your feelings. And let's talk about the 3 pillars that are going to energize your relationship. Let's talk about why they're going to energize your relationship. Here are the 3 pillars. Number 1, tell the truth to yourself. Number 2, feel your feelings. Number 3, communicate clearly your needs. So number 1, tell the truth to yourself. Number 2 is feel your feelings. And number 3 is communicate your needs clearly. And why are those important? They're so simple, like I said, and they get complex in the application. It's all about integrity. It's all about alignment. You mentioned like there are so many components that we can coach on. And the cool part is that they're all like dominoes. Like once you make adjustments in one and start coming into alignment and integrity and like actually telling the truth,
yeah,
they all domino and they all ripple through. Tell the truth principally to yourself. A lot of times folks I work with, and I've seen this in my own marriage, I keep looking outside of myself for somebody to validate me, for somebody to tell me what I want to hear, for somebody to witness me, to see me, to hear me. But here's the most powerful message. And a lot of this comes, I mean, having like widespread virus and natural disaster and all sorts of things this week have, I feel like for me, have asked me to look inside and really evaluate what's essential and what's not. I thought it was essential every day to take my son to school, to have him at drop off by 8:00. It turns out that's not essential.
Yeah, true.
Because now we're doing home study. Like there are a lot of things that I thought were essential that are not so essential. So it's been cool to focus on that. And similarly in relationships, coming back around to like tell the truth to yourself. You are the most important person that needs to hear what you actually feel and think and believe and what you're experiencing. And it's for extroverts like me, you love to speak out loud. And as you're talking longer and longer and longer, you come to the inside and it's like, okay, great, I got it. For introverts, it's usually the opposite, right? You go in a room by yourself and read a book and have everything organized, and maybe you'll share and maybe you won't. But the most important thing is to tell the truth to yourself first. And then after you admit the truth to yourself, then you can start sharing it with others. An example. Go ahead.
I've seen that in my own life. I like you as a human being, you're the only person who is feeling your feelings that you are feeling in the moment right now. Nobody else is feeling that, so nobody else is responsible for that. Only you are. And you are responsible for your feelings. And to be truthful about your feelings, like I feel sad. I really do. I feel sad, like not right now, but if I'm feeling sad, to acknowledge I feel sad in this moment, and it's okay for me to feel that. And then when I'm done feeling it, it's okay for me to let that go and just let it resolve itself.
Right. Like admitting the truth is so huge because all the thoughts are in my head. Wow, I'm really frustrated by my kids. Wow, I really wonder if there'll be grocery food on the shelves next week. Wow, I really wonder if, right? And we're just arguing with our thoughts like all the time, all day. And it's so exhausting. Just admit what you're feeling, admit what you're thinking, admit the truth. I feel annoyed by my children today, but I shouldn't think that because now I'm a bad mom and this is what I've always wanted to, like, I hear you. And go stand in front of the mirror, not in front of your children. Go stand in front of the mirror and admit to yourself, I feel annoyed when ... I feel angry when ... I have this thought that is ... I say I'm really committed to build my business this year, and how many products and services have I actually launched? How many people have I told about it? When I go to family dinner, do I announce what I'm really excited to launch, in my business, or do I kind of brush that under the rug? These are all parts of telling the truth. When somebody asks you how your days goes, do you say fine? Do you say okay? Do you say good? That's not telling the truth. Like, tell the truth about what's actually present for you and start with yourself. After you tell the truth to yourself, you can decide, does my partner need to hear this? Do my kids need to hear this? Does my business partner need to hear this? Do I need to share this on Facebook, right? That's part of the issue too, is like if we run out to Facebook and post, broadcast everything we're thinking and feeling first without centering in ourselves, going to the mirror first to say, here's what I think and feel. Does Facebook need to hear this? Or is this a conversation for my journal? Like,
or do I need to barf it up all over my family?
right. And like, let's save some of that energy by just simply telling the truth to yourself first.
Agreed.
Pillar number 1.
I love that.
Pillar number dos, feel your feelings. And this is really related to number 1. There are 4 core emotions. One of them is anger. One of them is sadness. One of them is fear. One of them is joy. I'm curious for you, Janet, like what were you taught about those 4 core emotions?
Some of them are bad and one of them is good, right? Like you
So,
should
yeah,
be in joy. Yeah. You should be in joy all the time. Fear is bad. Anger is bad, so you shouldn't feel that way. Like I grew up hearing, not necessarily my family, but just people around me. Oh, don't feel that way. Or, don't be mad. Don't be angry. Don't be sad. Stop crying. Right.
Yep.
So then you learn early on from the time that you're really little to swallow that down.
How much energy as a mom goes into, hey, don't cry, and trying to like stop the crying, trying to fix the crying, trying to end the crying.
Yeah. Or if you're consoling a good friend, oh, you shouldn't feel that way. Like a lot of us, when we're consoling a best friend and they feel bad or whatever, they feel feelings, it's uncomfortable for us. So we tell them not to feel that way.
100%, right? Just because it's uncomfortable for me. That's so key. Yeah. So we got these 4 feeling states, right? People always tell me, yeah, there's 3 negative ones and 1 positive one. I was taught that anger hurts people. Every time I was ever at a church meeting, every single person that cried apologized for it. Almost all my clients, through the first couple of weeks, every time they start crying, they go, I'm so sorry. And we laugh and I say, for what? Like, sorry, not sorry. Like, feel your feelings.
Yes.
Because emotions are simply energy in motion. But the problem is it's easy to stuff it down. Part of that's conditioning. Part of it's because it's just flat out uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for me as a man to cry. It's uncomfortable for me as a man to feel fear because I've been taught that I'm supposed to kick fear in the teeth and I'm supposed to be strong and lead my family in faith. And faith and fear can't coexist in the same space. And I've heard all of that and I agree. And fear is a core emotion. It's a vibration. It's part of what makes up the fabric of the universe. And it's always, the frequency is always there, just like a radio station. And I can tune into fear at any time, and I can tune into joy at any time, and I can tune into anger at any time. There's no way to get rid of those emotions because they're like the core energetic fabric of the universe. Like it's not going anywhere.
It's like saying darkness is bad, so we should get rid of it, right? Like, how do you get rid of darkness in the universe? You cannot do that. It has to coexist.
Right. How many stars can you see when the sun is shining?
Yeah. Yeah. Truth.
Right. The darker the night up on the mountain, you can see all the stars, right? And it completely takes my breath away when I'm there. Maybe that's true for you too.
Yeah.
Right. We don't get rid of darkness. We can harness it for a purpose. We don't get rid of anger. We can harness it for a purpose. I was just reading this morning in a book called Open Her by Karen Brody. Anger is a great catalyst to start something. It's usually not sustainable to keep going with it. So it's like feel the anger and then replace it with love to keep your vision spinning. But like anger is just a messenger. Fear is just a messenger and it's there. It's there to be felt. And what I love to take clients through and feeling their feelings is dropping into what is the body sensation of anger. For me, I feel it right here in my jaw. That's where I store it. And I feel it right here in my shoulder blades. Sometimes I'll feel it in my chest, but usually it's in the shoulder blades, and the jaw. Fear a lot of times sits in my stomach. And it's this kind of squishy, what's the sensation? When I feel fear, there's almost like it just disappears. It's like there's a nothingness to it. Mm-hmm. There's always sounds that go with the core emotions as well. Sobs can be so cathartic because there's those really ugly sounds that are kind of embarrassing for other people to hear. But
Yeah,
those are the most
primal
therapeutic,
sounds.
the
Yeah.
primal sounds. I had a client that told me the other day, she's like, I had to get all these feelings out Tuesday night. And I got in my car and I just started driving for a while, and I just had all the screams and all the yells and all the cries, and man, they were ugly noises, and I'm so glad nobody heard me, but I heard me. And it was so primal for me. And she's like, that was the most healing thing I did all day. And it created this beautiful week for her where she connected and her husband so deeply. She said, he and I have never cried together in 27 years, but we did on Wednesday. I felt my feelings first and I told the truth. And that created an openness to now where he holds me. I feel it because I'm not blocking him with resentment anymore. Oh my gosh. Chills.
That's
Like,
powerful.
yeah.
You know, I
Feel your
had
feelings, tell the truth.
yeah. Yeah, agreed. Like there's nothing more powerful than liberating your children and your family and giving them permission to tell the truth about their feelings and feel their feels. I had a son come home from school one time when he was really, really little, and he'd been picked on the bus. They took his backpack and they were messing with him, and I could tell he was really worked up a bit when he walked in the house. And so I just said, "What's going on, buddy?" And he said, "Kids on the bus were teasing me." And I'm like, "Well, how does that make you feel?" And he said, "I'm just mad. I'm really, really mad." And I said, "You go ahead and be mad. Go ahead. You just feel that." But what was underneath the mad was really deep sadness, because
Right.
he felt like they didn't approve of him. He wasn't enough, whatever it was. So the deep sadness started to come up, and he just cried and cried and cried. And I sat there on the couch, and I didn't even know this at the time, but I just felt prompted to put my arm around him and say, "You go ahead and feel sad. You go ahead. That's totally fine. And you're safe to feel sad right now for take as long as you need." And he cried for maybe a minute, and then it was over, and he picked up his backpack and went
Yes.
downstairs, and he's like, "Thanks for making me feel better, Mom." And I didn't really do anything but give him space to feel the feeling. And guess what? He did not have to process that 40 years later in therapy. Right? He processed it in the moment because someone gave him permission to have his dang feelings.
Right. I was curious for you listeners, like, as you heard her say, like, my son got bullied on the bus, like, pause right there. What do you feel in your body? Like, is there anything in your throat? Is there anything in your stomach thinking about your child getting bullied on the bus? Kids messing, teasing with your kid or punching your kid or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
where does that land in your body? Does that create fear for you? Does that create sadness for you? Does your mama bear show up and you're about to go, nobody's messing with my kid? Like, what are those sensations? So powerful to feel our feelings. And like you said, it's like maybe a minute.
Yeah.
Maybe it lasts 3 minutes if it's super crazy. Adults, we've been repressing longer, so maybe there's like a couple of hours worth of emotion in there, but like it will move quickly when we authentically feel it. It's pillar number 2, feel your feelings.
I love it.
Pillar number 3 is communicate clearly. What if, Janet, every human being said exactly what they thought all the time? Like super blunt, super transparent, no games, no saving face, no politically correct, socially appropriate, social mores. What if?
Actually, you know what? I know people who do that. And truth be told, sometimes they'll say things that are uncomfortable and that nobody wants to hear. But at the end of the day, truth be told, for the most part, I feel the safest around them because I know they're not playing
Yes.
games. I know
They're
where
not
I
hiding.
stand. There's no hiding. They're just there. They're just authentic. And there's safety in that. Like it's actually refreshing to be around people who just give you the raw realness of themselves.
Right. And for me, I notice like it's easy for me to want to tell stories, to give explanations. If somebody asks me a yes or no question, hey, will you come help we're loading up the trailer this week. Will you come help me move? My first thought is no. My second thought is no. My third thought is no. And then I start going to war in my head about all the reasons that I should be more service oriented and I should go help that person. And really, I would just like to refer them to the moving company. But whatever. But like communicate clearly. If I do say no, I always feel like I have to come up with a reason and this big long explanation. Why? Because I'm feeling guilty. That's none of that person's business. They don't care. They're working on their move. Like, don't burden them with my own story about guilt and whatever, and all the times people didn't help me on my move, and so I need to pay it for. Like, psychology is a funny thing, but communicate clearly. Yes, no, I'd love that. I would not love that.
That
Getting
doesn't
clear
work
on,
for me. Thank you
right,
for thinking of me, but that's not going to work out for me.
right. I'm choosing something else. Oh my, the phrase I can't, I challenge every single one of you to take can't completely out of your dictionary.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to come over? I can't. Well, it's, you're giving your power away every time you say can't. And it's a communication thing. Instead of saying can't, tell me what you're choosing into. I'm choosing to be with my family at that time. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm choosing into, you don't even have to be specific. I'm choosing something else at that time.
Yeah.
And it's blunt and it's forward, but it's like the clearest communication. So that's like angle number one on communication. Be clear in your yes, be clear in your no. You don't have to offer explanation for any yeses. You don't have to offer any explanation for any no's.
Yeah,
It's not
don't
a
you
question like,
find that that is just so liberating for people to stand up in their own sovereignty and say what they feel and say what they mean and just be blunt about it?
right. And a lot of folks, if they've been in the space where they're just starting to get connected with their yeses and their nos, this happens for like many 55-year-old women just naturally. It's part of hormones, it's part of menopause. The kids are raised, and now it's kind of this like, I've been given my whole life, I'm taking back my power.
Yeah.
And they start to get a little more firm in the yes and the no, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. And be careful when you're taking back your power, because it's almost always at the expense of somebody else, usually your man. And it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
There's a way to honor each person, and that's speaking to your experience. That's clear communication for what you're needing. It's clear yeses and clear nos, and it doesn't have to have any sass behind it. And this is related to number two, feel your feelings. If you go feel your anger by yourself in the mirror, then you don't vomit it all over your partner. And then it's clean. You can just say yes or no, and they respect you, and it's easy.
Agreed. And healthy boundaries, like
Yes.
establishing really good, healthy boundaries, I think is just so, it is liberating to let people know where your boundaries are. Like, where do you stand? Communicate that and let people know, because otherwise they don't feel safe. They don't know what the boundary is. So they don't know when they're
Right.
pushing you over and when they're going to get a reaction that they have pushed you over.
If you want more money in your life, so 100% it's a boundary issue. Let's talk about them. You're not clear on your yes and you're not clear on your no. So let's get together and make you more money. If you want like high quality sex in your life, like guarantee there's some yes and some no issues there of not being clear. And it's amazing when people say what they really truly want, and then a partner responds to that with what they really truly want, and they start to build this vision together about what they actually want. It's amazing what gets created.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, man, I really want to argue with my partner all day and create division and stress and legal fees for all our separation costs. Like, nobody wakes up saying that, but like we end up in that because we've got all this energy running that puts us on these default paths. So we stop telling the truth, we stop feeling our feelings and start stuffing them, and we don't communicate clearly the thing that we really actually seriously want. We use phrases like, well, I can't. Well, that's not true, it's a judgment. Let's take the judgment out of it and just say what you choose. Another phrase that's huge for couples is, what would you love from me? Because oftentimes I will get super excited and go like attack my wife with whatever urgent thing I have to tell her, like right now. And she's like working on some stuff. So the question becomes, what would you love from me? And then it's a chance for me to think like, oh, hey, is there a time that would be convenient for me to share something that's really exciting for me? And she'll either say, yeah, right now, that's great. Or, hey, I'd love to connect with you in 20 minutes. Or come check back in at 7 o'clock and let's celebrate together. And I'll bring all your favorite fuzzy blankets and let's go get Martinelli's or whatever to celebrate you. Like, speak the phrase, what would you love from me? And that like disarms every conflict. That phrase, there's so much good that happens when we create that kind of clarity. What would you love from me? Sometimes the answer could be, I'd like you to listen to me vent for 20 minutes. Well, is that a yes for the partner? Or is it a no for the partner? Maybe you need to go vent to a coach for 20 minutes so you can connect with your partner about all the yummy stuff in your relationships instead of trying to make them your therapist.
Yeah. Wow. That's so powerful. That is so powerful. I love that. And not that we're perfect at any of that, because I'm thinking about all the stuff that just happened just in my own relationships last night. How I stumbled over myself and stumbled over my feelings, and then bruised him, and then he bruised me. And none of us are perfect at it, but at least having an awareness of this stuff and having some tools, like the phrasing that you're giving, just those are such great resources. Could you share a little more? Let's go into depth on this program that you have available for people so that they can really get their hands on some really juicy tools for these three pillars in their life, in their relationships.
Absolutely. So I really wanted to make a program that anybody could enroll in, at a price point that made sense for everybody. So I've got 15 slots for a 9-week course that goes into these three pillars. It's got content to read. It's got exercises for you to embody, not just information, but like actually put it into your body and into practice. These three pillars of telling the truth, of feeling your feelings, and of communicating clearly. I'll go over those for 9 weeks. There are weekly group Zoom calls for the 15 folks that are in. Everybody in this group, I'd love to give you a $50 credit, $50 off, just for
Awesome.
being in this Restore group. So we'll drop the link in there and go in, sign up. First 10 people get a one-on-one application call with me for 90 minutes.
Awesome.
So if you'd love that as part of your package, jump on that. And what else?
When's the cutoff for registration?
March 25th is when we're diving in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's how many weeks?
9.
9 weeks. So once a week, you guys are going to get together in a live setting somehow?
Yep. We'll be doing Zoom calls together as a group where you can share what you're learning, both intellectually and then also from the application exercises, ask questions.
Fantastic.
Yes.
I love it. I just think this is one of the most worthy things to invest in. Like you can't buy enough toilet paper to create value right in your relationship like this.
Well, and here's the number one thing, like right now on the planet, we are getting the chance to only do what's really essential.
Yeah.
Like things are screeching to a halt and giving us a chance to really breathe. And focus on the essentials. One of the essentials is creating a foundation in your relationship that will build the next 20 years of awesomeness as we transition and shift, right? Work together on the things that you want to build. These three pillars will help you build a shared vision of what we want to create together. Like we get to decide what happens in the economy next. We get to decide what happens in our health next. We get to decide what happens in our relationships next. We get to decide what to model for our children so that they can grow up with healthy principles and healthy habits so that they can learn how to add value in the marketplace and adapt to change. And that all starts right now with you and me. Let us, instead of distracting from our purpose, unite in our purpose. Use these three pillars to make amazing relationships so you can build whatever it is together, right? Combine your energy, synergize your energy, make more partnerships, co-create,
Yeah.
right?
This is
We're
all
getting
about
out of
co-creation.
competition, getting
I love
out
it.
of competition with your spouse and into co-creation with your spouse.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So valuable. So valuable. And that's where the world is heading. I think that's why, for the most part, we're experiencing a lot of this imbalance and uncertainty, and there's stress everywhere. The earth as a whole, I believe, is trying to upgrade, and that begins, like, where this goes is all going to be determined based on where we decide we're going to start co-creating in our relationships. So man, like this couldn't come at a more perfectly designed point in time. So I endorse it. I promote it. I may have to take a look at that a little bit closer. I think my husband and I might really enjoy taking this course together. So
One I noticed in my own body, I made an offer that was not aligned for me. It was a no in my body. So I want to model right now what a yes looks like. Here's what I want to do. We're going to do 2 tiers for this course. Um, one of them has the course content, the Zoom calls, and the application exercises. And you're welcome to just ask me questions on Facebook Messenger, like anytime. And I'll answer those in integrity as it makes sense. And then second tier will be for anybody that wants to do an application call. That could be 15 of you, that could be 0 of you. If you would like my personal coaching to go with what's going on in your relationship and get specific tailored feedback, I'd love to do that. So I'll get those 2 links to you so you can choose like which one you'd love. And that feels like a yes for me, which means you're going to feel more comfortable with it too. Yeah. Thanks for the chance, for the do-over. Say what you really think. Tell the truth.
Yes, agreed. We're going to go ahead and post this inside of the Restore Body, Mind, and Soul group. I will post it also on my Facebook profile, and then feel free to share this around. Like whoever's watching the replay of this, please, if you think that this could benefit you or your partner or your spouse or maybe somebody else that you care about that's in a relationship that could use some healing and some transformation, please share this with people that you think will benefit the most from it. And let's get these 15 slots filled so we can help change the world. I'm going to let you send us off with the final word, Daniel.
The final word is trust. Trust that you have every single thing in you that you need to create abundance and joy and happiness moving forward. Trust that you have every single key, every single answer. It's in you. Go inside, look at what's really essential and what you thought was essential, but maybe isn't. If you'd love help with that, please call me. We got this. We decide what happens next. We create what happens next. Many bright human beings. There's so many bright human beings in this group. Let's combine our intention and be very clear and specific on the thing we want to create. Put energy into that. We got this. Agreed. And I love you.
Amen, brother from another mother. I feel such a connection to you. I love what you shine. I love what you are doing in the world right now. And so thank you. And have a blessed rest of your day, everybody. And please share this around on the internet, and please act promptly if this is for you. All right. Talk to you later. Bye, everybody.